Good evening everyone and welcome to another episode of Video Game News, the show that sometimes when I decide to make it brings you the latest and freshest from the world of video games. Today we have a few stories to go through, a few surprising ones, a few not so surprising ones, and a few pretty cool announcements, and when I say a few I mean 5 in total. So without any further ado, get comfy in your chair and let's get into it. Now, it wasn't too long ago that Telltale Games had to unfortunately shut their doors following a somewhat troubled development period where they simply acquired way too many IPs, the employees felt overworked, and towards the end they weren't even getting paid properly. This unfortunately resulted in the cancellation of the game that was currently being produced by them, that being the 4th season of The Walking Dead with Clementine as the main character, which unsurprisingly upset a lot of people who bought the game, played the 2 episodes, and could not wait to see how Clementine's story ends. Initially, it seemed like all hope was lost. These 2 episodes were not going to be made, and Telltale even confirmed that. So no one would get to experience how this 4-episode story that's been going on for years actually ends. However, just as it seemed like all hope was lost, Skybound Games stepped in, and according to the latest developments, The Walking Dead, the final season's development has officially been resumed. Now, Skybound has even beforehand said that they will try to step in and save what can be saved from the Telltale Games project in development. However, it wasn't entirely clear whether this would be possible and whether they would be able to get the employees that worked on the initial project back into the game. Well, 3 days ago, Skybound's social media representative Johnny Odell wrote, quoting, "It's been a ton of work logistically and legally to get us to a place where we're able to roll up our sleeves and get to actual work. After Telltale shut its doors, the game was unfortunately unable to be worked out, and hence the release dates of episodes 3 and 4 have been delayed. But we're excited to let you know that many of the talented, passionate team members who originally worked on the game are resuming development efforts today." So this all seems as great news, both for the people who just want to know how this adventure ends, and of course for the ones who already purchased the game and were thinking they would not be able to get their money back, as now everything is pointing towards us actually receiving an end to this epic adventure. Now, just as he mentioned in the post, the episodes will of course, because of all the complications, be delayed. That is, however, to be expected, and supposedly we can look forward to the announcements for the new release dates pretty soon. And next up on the news, I know it's just November, but we are going to talk about E3. A bit early, you might say. However, there have already been some developments in the industry that seem to be pointing towards the next year's E3 being a little bit smaller than this year's one. To be more specific, only around a week ago, Sony has officially announced that they are not planning to be taking part in E3 2019. In their statement, they officially said, quoting, "As the industry evolves, Sony Interactive Entertainment continues to look for inventive opportunities to engage the community. PlayStation fans mean the world to us when we always want to innovate, think differently, and experiment with new ways to delight gamers. As a result, we have decided not to participate in E3 in 2019. We're exploring new and familiar ways to engage our community in 2019 and cannot wait to share our plans with you." Now, while this might sound surprising, it's not actually that big of a shocker to a lot of people, considering all the technologies and the ways that big game companies can now reach their audience. It's no surprise that an actual physical meetup like the E3 is slowly fading from the minds of developers, as they're able to either host their own conventions or simply do the entire thing online, saving a lot of money and a lot of stress that would come with a fixed deadline. Why specifically Sony decided to back out of E3 2019 is really hard to say, but I wouldn't be particularly worried for them because they have a huge lineup of exclusives coming out, so more likely than not they're simply trying out a different way of relaying that to the audience without having to go through the hustle of E3. Now, what this means for the Electronics Entertainment Expo for the future, now that big players like Sony are backing out of, is hard to say. Maybe in a few years the whole thing will fade into nothingness with everyone doing their own shows either online or scheduling them separately regardless of each other. For now it remains to be seen, but the only thing we can be sure of is that next year Sony will not be participating. And next up, it wasn't too long ago that Fallout 76 officially came out and the reviews are in and they're not looking too hot. Now the current critics score on Metacritic sits at a 61, which isn't horrible, but isn't particularly positive as well. However, it's the user score which is incredibly low, sitting at a 2.9 according to 2,877 ratings at the point of making this video. Now what these negative ratings can be attributed to varies greatly. People have been complaining about separate things, including a somewhat lackluster story, a fairly bad performance on several occasions, as well as designs and features that seem somewhat counterintuitive to what the game is trying to make. The experiences of multiple people have varied greatly, with some reporting good performance, solid visuals, and a fun and enjoyable experience, while others report the exact opposite. In the end, my honest recommendation, if you're a Fallout fan and you're looking into maybe purchasing 76, is to wait a little bit longer. See until all the hype about it cools down, maybe watch some gameplay or talk to some friends that already own the game, and then make your educated decision into whether you should buy it or skip out on this one. And now, just two more announcements to end this video off. If you're a fan of the Metro games by 4A and would be interested in getting some merchandise to go along with it, you can now pre-order the so-called Spartans Collection Edition for Metro Exodus, which amongst other things features a 10.5-inch resin statue, collectible postcards, Spartan dog tags, patches, and other small trinkets that I'm sure fans of the series can appreciate. So hey, if you're into those games and you would like a nice collector's edition, this one is available for pre-order right now. And finally, if you are a fan of Sunset Overdrive, which came out a while ago admittedly, but you never got to play it because you only play on PC and you don't own any consoles, well, you just happen to be in luck, my friend. It was about a week ago that the announcement came from Insomniac Games themselves with a confirmation that Sunset Overdrive will be coming out to PC and more specifically Windows 10. This also came out with a separate trailer which you can check out on Insomniac Games' YouTube channel, available right now. And with that, we're going to wrap the video up. Of course, there is always a lot more happening and there is a ton of news stories out there. I simply picked the ones that I figured you guys would be the most interested in. If you enjoyed the video, maybe consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. All of those would be very much appreciated. And hey, I try to do this show every week, so if you want to stay up to date on what's happening in the world of video games, this is definitely one way to do it. Anyways, I want to wish you all a bit of rest off today, and I'll see you in whatever next video I make. Bye bye.